share my screen. Okay, we'll get going and see if we can give you guys a little bit of this time back. Here we go. So as far as the SBAC is concerned, this is kind of an overview. This particular screen, this is what people can see publicly if they go to the AOE website and start searching for information about school performance. They have a cute little interface set up using Microsoft tools. You can change the organization through this tab. You can select the school you're interested in. In this case, I've just selected the state of Vermont for the purposes of showing you guys. SBAC ELA third grade, how did our students do? And it gives you a cute little graph that's color coded. And then over here in this table, you can see the actual percentage of students who are proficient or above. If you actually search for a school, it will give you the school data, the supervisory union that school belongs to, and the state of Vermont. It is whatever is available publicly, so any school that has a class size where there's less than 11 students, no data will be reported. This particular portal is where groups like Vermont Digger or whoever goes out there looking for school performance information would get their information from, and they create all sorts of nice little interactive graphics based on the state release of data. At the SU level, we have the ability to log into the reporting portal, and this is the level of information that we get to see, and we can actually dig further into it, by clicking on each of these things. But this is just a nice little overview of what we get to see based on grade levels. This is for RSU. Then I have the ability to go in and download the entire data file from that reporting window, and I can take it and I can create a report that looks more like this. And I have sent reports like this to each of the building administrators so they have access to it. These tables show school level performance in terms of who are 3s and 4s, grade level performance. There's a detailed view table. In this case, I've omitted student names, but we do have the ability to look at individual students to see how they scored on the test and what their level was. It can be filtered by school. You just check the appropriate box. And then we've got it broken down into these claim levels. And in a minute, we'll be talking a little bit more about claims and targets and what makes up the SBAC test itself. So that's something that we have the ability to look at, to go a little bit deeper into it. So the test itself, the claims, like all of these tests, SBAC has a structure, even though generally we only see a scale score and a performance level. There are 2 areas of focus, ELA and math. There are 4 basic areas of claims for each test. There are multiple targets under each claim, and those targets cover multiple standards in the Common Core State Standards. So our overall claims for ELA, here we begin with the I can statements. These claims and these I can statements come directly out of the SBAC documents. So up for ELA, students can demonstrate progress towards college and career readiness in ELA and literacy. Similar statement for math. The high school level, they change progress towards to demonstrate college and career readiness. Tied to all of these claims are something called depth of knowledge statements. I'm not going to go through those in their entirety here, but within the presentation that I have linked to you guys in the chat, You can click on these. It will lead you directly to the depth of knowledge statement. It's about 3 pages on the ELA statement. I think it's a little less than that on the math statement. The 4 claims under ELA and math are listed here. We have, again, claims in reading, writing, listening, research, and inquiry. ICANN statements are tied to each of those claims. And this is how those things are built. And again, I have linked directly to the SBAC documents to show you what is made up in those claims. So as an example, see if I can blow that up a little bit. Your ELA claim number 1 is students can read closely and analytically to comprehend a range of increasingly complex literary and informational texts. And then down here under these columns, we have grade 3, grade 4, and grade 5, and some information about the claims, and the targets are listed that go into these claims. And there are a number of targets under each of the claims, and the targets are linked to standards. So grade 3 standards, RL1 and RL2, and they're looking for a depth of knowledge value of 2 or 3 under those claims. Again, I have linked everything in here so that later on you guys can go back and go over this. We're not going to do that during the presentation part. I'll give you guys time to review these things later at your own pace. Each one of the claims in ELA and math are linked, so you can go through and review all of the standards tied to them. One thing I would like to point out is, though there are 4 claims listed under math here, generally when it's reported, claims 2 and 4 are tied together in the reporting engine. So they list problem solving and data modeling and data analysis as one claim when they report. I'm not sure why they've combined those in the reporting engine, but they are separate claims and they have their own sets of targets linked to them. We are getting down to the end of my little pitch here. I've given you some reference materials. These are the entire set of content specifications linked at the top. Those specifications are very long, like 150 pages. I spent the summer reading them. It was a lot of fun. But there is a lot there. And I do think it's something that's important for us to understand as far as what goes into the SBAC. And when we get into the interims, you can isolate targets and standards to give tests on. So, an interim test, I personally think it would be good as a formative assessment. They could be used as summative assessments if you wanted to. I would really encourage people to take a look at the interim tests and use them to your advantage as much as possible. I do have a link in here to the Vermont SBAC portal. I have posted a link again to the Vermont Education Dashboard. The Vermont Education Dashboard looks like this. It's essentially a website. There are 9 sections in it. Assessment is only one of them. There's a number of information that's also posted in here. These are the kinds of things that when Milt is going crazy over the summer saying he's all wrapped up in the state reporting, this is where that data goes. So this is a good thing to explore sometime when you have a little time available and you're really bored and you need to kill a few minutes. Not that that ever happens, but I've also posted a link here to the SBAC interim presentation that Lisa has given from time to time. This one was put together for the 2021 school year. Now there are a couple of broken links because, as I said, the state is updating their website and it doesn't look quite the same as it did. But this is available. It is something that you guys may want to take a look at sometime. One last thing I want to show you guys, and then I'll let you do some exploring on your own of these resources. When you go into the Vermont portal, normally when you want to look for an interim assessment, you would go in here. It's not available right now. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. That wasn't part of my plan. This would be a little bit more in depth in the interim presentation if some of these things were available. But this Tools for Teachers icon, unfortunately, it's something we have to log into. And my understanding is that the Vermont AOE is trying to get the state of Vermont set up with this Tools for Teachers application so that we can actually log in and use it to its fullest advantage. But I'm going to click on it right now just to show you a little bit about what you can do with it. When this page pops up, it's a set of resources for teachers. You can do a search on it. I'm going to go to the filtered view. It's going to ask me to log in, but then it won't let me log in because the state of Vermont is currently not set up in here. When we're set up, we'll be able to have accounts in this that will give us resources specific to Vermont and the Vermont SBAC. But under the filtered view, there are all sorts of things that we can pick here. Like you want to find something that's instructional or connections or formative assessment strategy, professional learning, accessibility. You can click on these and it'll expand the listings. You can search on grade-specific topics or subject-specific topics. If you know specifically you have a target that you're searching for, like, in our assessment calendar, we've highlighted some specific writing tests. I might search for, target 1A, and it'll bring up everything connected to that writing target 1A. So we have, write and revise narratives. We have the 3rd grade, 4th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and high school versions of writing and revising narratives. That particular interim assessment would hit that learning target. Opinion text, writing and revising opinion text, also hits that learning target in 3rd grade. And there are a number of other assessments. But other things that we could do to narrow that down, let me see, I'm trying to clear the filters and it's not responding. We could pick simply 3rd grade if I was interested in 3rd grade topics. Maybe I want something in math. Just click on the math filter. We want it to be instructional. And maybe problem solving is something we've been working on. So here are the various targets that apply to 3rd grade math problem solving. And it breaks down to targets and content standards. And then you can search through. There are a number of activities that they have available. When you're not logged in, if you click on one of these, it blurs everything out and asks you to log in. But you can look at an overview You know, it tries to tell you what's in it, but it doesn't really work. So hopefully we'll be able to log into that soon, but at least you can find activities and resources this way that'll lead you towards teaching and evaluating whatever subject area you're interested in there.
Al,
Yeah, at this point it's time for questions, so go ahead.
when we go to access this, if we have issues, would the coaches in our building be able to help us, or should we contact you?
The coaches in your building should be able to help you, and if they run into problems with it, they will get a hold of me, or you can come directly to me, either way.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, I would go to the coaches first. Marcia, go ahead.
I believe through the assessment calendar, we have to give 3 SBAC interim writing assessments this year. And, but maybe the portal isn't open, so you can't show us how to do that as of yet. But is there going to be a review? You know, we don't necessarily use this every day. So, and there's probably some new people on staff that don't know how to access it or use it. And so I was just curious to know if we could review that or if we have to wait till it's open.
Unfortunately, they're changing. What they've done is they've started updating and changing the way we access all of these things. So until that's open, I won't know what it looks like for the new changes. So I won't be able to create a review until I have access to it. And they've promised us access by the 31st of August, but it may be the 1st of September before I can actually get in there. But once it's open and available, I will create a new review. I'll put together some access videos, and maybe we can do a training session for people who are interested at that point.
Thank you. That would be really appreciated because, like I said, we don't use this every day. So it's a nice little review, especially because we do have to do those writing interims by certain dates this school year. Thanks.
Yeah, I think the first one is by the end of November, so there is a little time yet. But,
yeah, November, January, and then I forgot what the other one was. Yeah.
Oh, the link to the slideshow. Let's see if I can put that back in there. Okay. You're welcome. Any other questions, comments, something anybody wants to know? I know there's quite a few of you on here. Okay. There's an awful lot of information that you can poke through and review in this slideshow. I tried to give you something that would be useful to help you in planning, especially since we are all measured by the state assessment. I just wanted people to understand there's a lot that goes into this assessment, and the more I'm learning about it, the more I've come to appreciate what's actually covered in the SBAC. It is certainly more useful, I think, at a higher level when you have a number of students answering the question. So I think that it gets less useful when you have fewer and fewer students. But the interims are probably the most useful piece that we have available to us. So I do encourage their use as much as possible. Anything else before I give you guys some time to go off and do whatever you need to, or do some review of the SBAC? Or okay. Yeah, you guys are welcome. Thank you all for your time, and I will let you get to whatever you need to.
Al, I had a quick question for you, not specific to SBAC, so I was waiting till the end. Do you know the I understand this year we're doing the MAPS test and the Fast Bridge test. Is the plan in future years to do one or the other, or do you know what the plan is moving forward?
Yeah, there was an awful lot of discussion around this, as you can imagine, and plans had changed as we discussed it towards the end of last year, and then again over the summer. We continued discussing it and made more changes. The idea is that we're going to take the K-6 data overlap between MAP and FastBridge, and we're going to try and figure out which one gives us the best set of information, the most useful information for planning purposes for you guys. So we are going to be looking for feedback from teachers on both systems for you guys to let us know which one gives you better planning information. We're also going to be looking at it from an administrative point of view as well to see which one gives us better information as far as overall performance, what we can get out of it for bringing in professional development, all of those sorts of things. So it's a pretty comprehensive review that we're doing.
And do you have any idea with the Fast Bridge, like how long those tests are?
You're going to be getting a little more information this afternoon.
Okay.
We
right.
haven't been through the final training yet. That's coming
Okay.
up. Each individual section of the test is shorter than the map.
Okay,
I
that's
think
good.
but
I'll
there's
wait and
more
hold my
than one. There's also more than one test that has to be administered.
Right.
I think for A reading, there's 2 tests at higher grade levels, but K-2, there's maybe a couple more. But it's broken up into sections. You guys will see it this afternoon
Okay.
when we do the
Yeah,
Fast Bridge module.
I apologize. I forgot that was coming up next.
Yeah. And we had to break it up for different sections because it's different for, I think, K-2 and then 3 to 6. And then middle grades and higher, we're using FastBridge, but we're only doing the SEL screener.
Okay. Thank you, Al.
Yep, you're welcome. All right. So, Joe, we've been through the presentation at this point, and I've given them time to go off and research through some of the PowerPoint that I gave them. I'll put the link here in the chat so that you have access to the slides.
It took me a half hour to get back to my computer, so everyone's caught me out in the hall.
I understand. It's one of those days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in service, there's a lot going on.
So, all right. Thanks, Al.
It's mostly a review of what goes into the SBAC.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I
if
don't
you follow
do
the
much of
links
that.
in the slides,
Okay.
you'll get the gist of it.
Does this have anything like, I know they want the teachers to do I call it the pre-test or whatever, the assessment, the pre-assessments for the SBAC?
The interims.
Interims, thank you, the interim test.
Yeah, we did cover interims. Unfortunately, I didn't get into depth with it because the access site is down. They're remodeling it. So that's one of the sections I wanted to show them, but the state's remodeling at the
Okay,
That
that
part
that
of
was
the
my
thing, so.
thing with that. I just wanted to look at because I'm not familiar with you know, I haven't been out of the classroom for so long, but
Sure.
if I'm going to ask them to do it, I just want to be familiar with it too.
Right. And they did ask a question about it. Pretty much what I told them is when I have access to it, which should be mid this week. Again, they've set their deadline to have it back up and running August 31st. We'll see if that happens. But when I do have access to it, I'll create a video that shows people how to get in and find interims and assign them to students and do all of that stuff.
Well, I don't think Chittenden County starts till next week, so that's probably why they're not too worried about it.
Well, my niece who's up in Essex goes back to school Wednesday.
Oh, does she? Okay, so
So-
they are back on. I know
Yeah.
this was it was at least 8 years ago. It was 9 years ago before I became principal there. I was taking a class and we were talking about the school-wide calendar, and they just proposed the school-wide or statewide calendar.
Yeah.
And the guy who proposed it said, he goes, "Oh my God," he says, "I thought it was to be an easy thing." He says, "People are so upset about this." And, you know, and of course, up
Well,
north, because of the Chittenden County Fair, or the Chittenden County Fair, or Champlain Valley Fair, they said they want to go after, and, you know, they want to start
Oh, yeah.
after Labor Day and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, if we can't even get a statewide calendar in a state our size, so we're supposed to apply this.
yeah, planning things like that is always rougher than you would think it would be.
Well, he said he figured, be like, oh, great, you guys are doing it for us. And now the whole state's, it's not like
Oh,
the North
no.
has vacation this week and the South. He's like, oh, people are like, no, you can't do that.
Well, yeah, and you've got families scattered around. They want to take vacations together, like February break or April break. You split that up, and nobody's happy.
No, well, my brother he lives over in New York State there, right outside of Albany. And, you know, same thing. And lately, our February and April breaks have been the same, but I don't think this year they are. I think they're off again. Even though they start next week, you know, we usually our breaks line up.